Hey, welcome back to Tampa Bay, Florida. We are here to give just a few more stories that only this city can tell. Sure, many of us have heard of Tampa, but few are aware of the amazing history here. Over the centuries, this once sleepy Florida outpost has evolved in ways both seen and unseen, and the vibe here today is truly unique. It's distinctive. From a fourth-generation bakery to an expatriate Cuban art scene to a perfectly preserved example of Gilded Age opulence, you have to see this to believe it, or even the fast-paced excitement of Tampa Bay's hockey and football teams. This place charms everyone who lives here and everyone else who's fortunate enough to visit. So today on Undiscovered America, it's Tampa Bay.
Come along with me. Let's take it to the streets. Show you the land of the free like you've never seen. Talking about undiscovered America. Undiscovered America.
Here we are with Jenna Fields, Museum Relations Manager, Henry B. Plant Museum, University of Tampa in beautiful downtown Tampa, Florida. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, David?
I am very well, thanks. Look, this is a place is so amazing to me. Let's just start here. Give us the overview. Where are we standing?
So right now we are in the museum's writing and reading room.
Right, writing it because I can at least read it.
Yes. So originally this room was used by the gentlemen guests of the hotel. So most of these gentlemen would have been some kind of tycoons, businessmen, things of that nature.
Pretty tycoon heavy situation here, right?
Yes, yes. So this was originally the Tampa Bay Hotel, and it was a winter resort. So kind of the original snowbirds, if you will. But the other particular thing about this room that's good to note is it's the most historically accurate room in the building. So the artifacts in this room are actually original to this room.
It feels like you're walking into a movie set, honestly. You could do a period film here, you wouldn't have to change anything.
And actually, so we did have people come and date. The paint color is original to what this room would have been. It has been restored and we are still constantly in restoration preservation process. So the collection itself houses artifacts from the original Tampa Bay Hotel. So we like to say about 90% of what you see in the museum is original to the hotel. And we can speak to that because we have such wonderful photographs in our historical archive.
So one of the things that really is striking is the detail. Everywhere you look, your eye falls on some kind of detail. How many rooms total in the museum?
So in the museum itself, there are about 10 rooms. In the hotel originally, there were 511 rooms.
Wow.
So the museum itself is just one small portion of the building itself.
And so this is a significant space. And it was also, I understand, one of the first electrified buildings in Florida?
That is correct. So originally, guests would have been able to rent out multiple rooms at once. So this hallway would have been their private hallway, and they would have had their own access to the glass doors.
So this is a suite?
This is a suite
Holy
on the first floor.
Wow.
So this is an example of what the music room would have looked like. So, back then you didn't have phones, you didn't have streaming, so you needed a way to entertain yourself.
So talk me through this. Usually in a fancy hotel, the upper rooms are the most sought after. This was more sought after than upstairs?
Yes, back then you would have wanted to stay on the first floor. That's where the most affluent guests stayed. One of the reasons being because then you would have access to the doors privately to go walk the garden upon your leisure or get to your carriage or things of that nature.
Or not have to climb stairs.
Or not have to climb stairs, especially if you're a woman in those multiple layers of clothes. Yes.
Hi,
Jill,
David.
how are you?
Welcome to the historic Tampa Theater.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us today. You are, what is your job here? What do you do?
Well, I get to run the marketing team. I get to be the chief storyteller for Tampa Theater.
Ooh, that's a great position. And I'm sure this place has some stories to tell.
100 years worth.
100 years, and it must be really interesting. This is your office, right? You come in here every day and you work and you make sure, I'm sure you're out a lot, but to have this as your base of operation, it really is a piece of history. It's an amazing, it feels like a set, like you work on a movie set, kind of. Yeah?
Well, Tampa Theater opened in 1926 as a silent movie palace. So we've been projecting movies for 98 years here on Franklin Street. And you're right, when you get the keys to this building and you know that you get to walk into this amazing space every day and be part of the team that gets to take care of it, it's a lot of responsibility, but it's definitely a very rewarding
Well, speaking
thing
of this
to do.
beautiful building, can you just show me some of your favorite things here?
How much time do you have?
All right, well, we'll
on.
take a little tour. We'll figure it out. Hey, John, thanks for being with us today.
Sure, it's a pleasure.
This, where we're sitting, words can't even begin to describe it. Tampa Theater, so it's your president and CEO. You tell us, where are we sitting?
We're sitting in a majestic movie palace that was built in 1926. And, you know, back in the day, in the 1920s, movies were basically it, right? So studios had all this money to invest in the construction of their theaters. And they really got kind of out of control. It was a competition between architects and designs and
The
studios.
grandest movie palace ever.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so this building survived the Great Depression, survived World War II, somehow survived all 7 Police Academy movies. And then, but it was endangered in the 1970s because the economics didn't work anymore,
Sure.
right, as a commercial enterprise. So the community rallied, the city of Tampa stepped in, rescued the building, and today it's a dynamic film and cultural center.
You have graduations here, you have weddings here, you have bar mitzvahs here, you have
Right.
a funeral here. Even,
We've
you
even
know.
done memorial services, right.
You know, you talk about kids today, they're into they're into instant gratification and short form
Yep.
things. You know, this is a movie palace, right? Nothing could be farther away from Instagram than a 2-hour-long movie from the 1940s or 30s, whatever.
Right.
How, in terms of programming, maintain that relevance moving forward? I know you branched out to do a lot of different kinds of performances in here.
So for us, it's about that experience and trying to convince the Instagram generation that there are many Instagram-worthy moments here before and after the show.
Yeah.
But what we're also discovering is that younger people are sort of rediscovering cinema overall, and when they discover Tampa Theater, it's like they feel like they've discovered something brand new, which is really heartwarming and
Yeah.
really encouraging because for them, it's a novel idea.
Hey, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Undiscovered America TV. I don't want to get in the way of these folks, but can you give us an idea real quick? What's going on back here behind us?
Well, we're just making Cuban bread. Right?
Yes, you are.
This is our third shift of the day. We actually do 3 shifts a day. We run 24 hours. This crew right here is making our 18-inch loaf, and you can see they're putting the palmetto on it. We've already mixed it, shaped it. Now we're putting the palmetto on, which helps the bread score. And what happens is the bread will proof over time, and the moisture will stay where the palmetto is, so when the bread's ready to go in the oven, it'll open up.
So is this a unique process to La Segunda, or is this traditionally how this bread has been made? Or?
This is the tradition for Cuban bread that my great-grandfather learned when he was in Cuba.
Okay.
He's from Spain, but learned this tradition in Cuba. There are a few other bakeries here locally that do the exact same process, but...
And these are just cut off a little palm scrub or something, right?
It's a saw palmetto, so
Yeah,
it's
okay.
all throughout
Yeah.
Florida. It's getting
Yeah.
a little bit more difficult to find, but we got a guy that goes and chops it for us every day. They cut them, they disinfect them, and they rinse them, and then they put them in a production.
That is pretty amazing. So 24/7, this place is pumping out bread.
That's it.
How many loaves? Give
Right
us a
now, we're
scale.
probably around 20,000 loaves a day.
A day.
So it's about an 8-hour process from mixer to oven. And so in between those 2 stages, there's a lot of decisions that have to be made by the bakers, eyeballing the dough and understanding when the dough is ready to go on to
Sure.
the next step. It takes a lot of experience. Most of our bakers have been here an average of 20, 25 years.
And that must be a real art and science together, because the changes in humidity and temperature, particularly here in Florida.
Yeah. We like to say we're an Ybor City bakery. Ybor City is kind of how Tampa got started anyways.
Right.
And that was Germans, Italians, Cubans, and Spanish,
Right.
kind of all mixing together. So a lot of the food that we have up there, you know, people think that we're just a Cuban bakery, but We have cannolis, we have German chocolate cake, you know, we have the flan.
And that's Tampa Bay.
And that's Tampa Bay.
Rodney, how are you?
Hey, welcome to Ybor City.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me. What are you doing here? You are the official historian of Hillsborough. What is your gig?
My gig is to really teach people our history.
Okay.
And what better place to teach that history than 7th Avenue in Ybor City?
La Septima.
La Septima.
Right. And
sure you
we
said it
are,
right.
what is Ybor City? Just give me the 30,000 foot.
Ybor City is Tampa's Latin enclave,
Okay.
when you guys say along with West Tampa. And this is where the cigar industry was born in Tampa and where we became Cigar City.
Okay.
500 million cigars produced in Tampa at its height.
So I understand Ybor, there's a lot of Cuban influence, a lot of Latin influence, but there's an Italian club, there's other influences. How does that equal Tampa?
So the cigar industry brought so many different cultures to Tampa, to Ybor City in West Tampa.
Right.
And so you have Cubans, and of course Afro-Cubans, Spaniards, but then also Sicilians who came here to work in the associated industries. And so all came together to create this really, really great Latin culture that we have here.
And there were some other Italians that were in associated industries as well.
Well,
yeah?
exactly. You know, we don't
Famously.
we don't necessarily go into the whole story of that,
Right.
but absolutely, there are a lot of families, as it were, in the area. Beginning in the 1970s, there was really a concerted effort to preserve these buildings and these storefronts, and so it became a historic district, and people really began to embrace that and use it as a draw for tourism.
This seems like either in Tampa, all roads lead either to or from Ybor City. Is that an overstatement?
No, you can't talk about Tampa and Tampa history without talking about Ybor City, and you really can't experience Tampa's history without doing what we're doing and take a stroll down 7th Avenue.
We were here in 1920 Ybor. It's the heart of Ybor City in Tampa Bay. We're in a fabulous indoor-outdoor art space called 1920 Ybor. We're here with the proprietor and prep for one of the best-known artists around these parts, Junior Del Pozo. ¿Cómo estás?
Bien, amigo, gracias.
Con mucho gusto. Una pregunta for you, one question for you. ¿Dónde aprendiste a pintar? Where did you learn to paint?
Aprendí a pintar en mi casa, en el barrio, en la escuela,
Bueno,
con mis padres.
¿en Cuba? ¿O aquí?
Sobre todo
¿O
en
ambos?
Cuba. En Cuba.
En Cuba.
Cuba.
Bueno, y esta obra aquí es gigante. Es todo de tuyo, ¿sí?
Toda.
Bueno, mira, hay unas vistas de La Habana.
Sí, La Habana.
Explícala, por
La
favor.
Catedral de La Habana,
Bueno,
el malecón,
Malecón.
y el morro,
Sí, sí.
el balcón habanero.
Bueno,
Esta es la
Muchos
bodeguita del
músicos.
medio.
Sí, sí.
Bodeguita del medio, un lugar muy conocido.
bueno.
Siempre la pintan en su vista exterior. Yo quise esta vez hacerla por dentro,
Sí.
ya que lo que querían era las personas del pueblo.
¿Y la coche famosa?
El Capitolio.
Sí, sí.
Y luego entonces está Trinidad, que es un pueblo en Santi Espíritu, y está el juego de dominó y la playa Varadero.
So, hay muchas vistas del Cuba.
Sí,
El Cuba es una cosa en tu corazón, en tu mente, pero también es aquí en Ybor City, ¿verdad? Hay muchos cubanos aquí.
hay muchos cubanos,
¿Por qué?
porque aunque la ciudad lleva el nombre de Vicente Martínez Ybor, quien era español,
Bueno,
él creció en Cuba, y los trabajadores que él tenía en su mayoría eran cubanos. Cuando él viene hacia Estados Unidos, ya que lo estaban persiguiendo en Cuba por estar apoyando la causa de los mambises, entonces muchos de sus trabajadores, la gran mayoría que vinieron con él, eran cubanos.
just an awesome time talking with Junior. First of all, because he was so sweet to allow me to use my bad travel Spanish, but you could just tell his energy was just infectious for his art, for this place, for Ybor City, for Tampa Bay, for Cuba también. Everything about him, he just oozes that life and that energy. His heart is big and his talent seems even bigger. Very happy to have spent time with Junior here at 1920 Ybor. For an upscale dining twist like none other, we visited Chef Eric Freilich at his restaurant Koya, which along with Collab next door are offering Tampa a unique and authentic and truly world-class Asian dining experience. So Chef, where are we right now? Talk me through this amazingly intimate space.
So we're inside Koya. This is our 8-seat tasting menu only restaurant, so omakase style. We like to start our menu with amuse courses, so finger food, a couple bites. We call them our handshake courses. It's kind of when you first meet somebody, you go in for that handshake. You want to make sure you got a nice firm handshake, and that sets the tone for the evening. So we'll start with things like sea urchin, some beautiful mushrooms from British Columbia, as well as a beautiful nori from Korea.
The ingredients sound like they're all over the map, right?
Oh, absolutely.
All these decisions are made for you. It's not one from column A or column B. You have completely curated, right, and prepared and thought through very carefully every bite of every sip of everything that happens in here.
Absolutely.
Which might explain those two plaques over there, 23 and 24 Michelin stars here. Here we are in another beautiful institution. This is Collab. Explain to me where we are and how this relates to everything you do.
So my wife and I kind of had this idea about 1.5 years ago of making a home base for all 3 of our restaurants, a place where we could do events, classes, also a place where we could do maybe some catering, and then we call it Collab because it's a collaboration of ideas. It's also like a food laboratory, so you get the lab part in there. Right. But this allows us to have a little bit larger space, especially for our customers at Koya that want to do maybe a private event, or for example, we do like a tuna fest every couple months, and where we bring in a whole tuna from Japan. Our buyer will come in from Japan and he'll break down the whole tuna in front of everybody, and we kind of feed them pretty much just tuna right down to the dessert.
What was your first impression of doing business here in Tampa?
And it was a lot of fun kind of teaching them what Japanese food was really about.
That was my question, right? Yeah. There was some education going on there as well.
Absolutely.
You were gently educating the public to say, hey, this is the real thing.
Yes.
Right.
We purposely left off edamame and miso soup just to kind of break that stereotype.
Cream cheese.
Cream cheese,
yeah.
Exactly.
We're here with Tampa Fire Rescue, and you're watching Undiscovered America. 1, 2. Fred, how are you?
I'm doing just great. How about you today?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for chatting with us today.
Yeah.
What are we standing in front of right here? Where are we?
You're standing in a neighborhood that 100 years ago was called the Scrub. It's where a lot of black people settled after freedom came after the Civil War. Mm-hmm. And in 1921, this beautiful building that you see here became the St. James Episcopal Church. So it's over 100 years old. It's a historic building, beautiful building that in another 1.5 years is going to be Tampa's Black History Museum.
Wow, awesome. And it's such I love the juxtaposition of something as old as this, all this new development and new energy literally coming up on both sides of it.
It's amazing, and it's very touching for somebody like me who grew up in Tampa.
And this is the namesake of the park that we're walking up to right here.
This is Perry Harvey
right.
And this statue, and he was president of the Longshoremen Association for over 30 years, helped to create the black middle class in Tampa, and he is the one who gave the Head Start program its name.
Really?
He was on a committee, and you see behind the statue what these children need is a Head Start. Those were his words. As a result of that, in 1965, we got the Head Start program.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you were saying it was you could spend the day here, just
Absolutely.
exploring the area.
Absolutely, absolutely. And people came here from all over Hillsborough County. There was nothing else like this within 50 miles.
Sure.
So we'd come in the morning, maybe go to see a movie, and then spend the rest of the day just walking up and down the street. You were bound to meet some people that you knew, either went to school with or lived in your neighborhood. And I can't remember one bad memory of all those years in the 50s and 60s when I was growing up on Central Avenue. You came here, when you left, you had a big smile on your face. The beginning of the end of the real popularity of Central Avenue started in the summer of 1967. A 19-year-old youngster who lived in public housing in this community, Martin Chambers, was shot and killed by a Tampa police officer. He died literally before hundreds of people who saw him when he was shot. And then they expressed their anger, not in an appropriate manner, by burning down some of the buildings. After that, Central Avenue began to get a bad name. And then the other thing that happened was the interstate came through. And when the interstate came through, it wiped out a lot of the homes, a lot of the customers, and the businesses on the north end of Central Avenue.
So it sounds like the perfect storm of three completely
Yes.
separate influences
Yes.
that led to the end of this area as the nexus of the Black community.
Exactly.
Fast forward until 10 years ago-ish, a brand new energy has come here to reestablish or at least tell the story.
So the Tampa Housing Authority has all of these buildings where we have children and young families and senior citizens. And the theme for this entire area is the musical legacy of Central Avenue. So we have a building named the Trio,
Right.
3 performers. We have the Tempo building. We have a building named, believe it or not, for Ella Fitzgerald, the Ella.
I love it.
And so as you look around, you see musical signs everywhere. We have a street named for Hank Ballard, the man who wrote the twist. And of course, the genius, Ray Charles. We just crossed Central Avenue, which is connected by Ray Charles Boulevard.
You know, you were talking about the opening of the center over here.
Right.
Keeping alive through oral tradition of you telling us about what's going on.
Right.
How do you keep it alive in the community with the kids down here?
Well, one thing we do is we do walking tours.
Okay.
Every month, the Tampa Bay History Center does these tours. In fact, we have about 5 or 6 walking tours that we do. With the murals we have and the messages we have carved in the sidewalk, the statue, there are 1,000 stories in this park. So you could spend all day and still not tell them all.
Going to the legendary Amalie Arena during a Tampa Bay Lightning home game is an absolute must when visiting the city, just to soak in the excitement. I was lucky enough to get a behind-the-scenes peek at how the team and their support staff preps for game night and to talk to Coach John Cooper about the organization. Coach, thanks for taking time with us today. Longest tenured head coach in NHL. You have been here, you've seen Tampa grow up literally around you here. How do you gauge your continued success? Is the number of people who shows up at the game, what is it? I mean, what is your success metric for the Lightning?
Oh, that's a tough one to answer because when you're in professional sports, you're gauged basically on wins and losses.
Sure.
To me, there's a lot more.
Hardware, right?
Yeah. There's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
I think, what we've done as an organization in this community, I hope whenever my tenure's done, that'll be looked upon as something, he was a head coach of the team.
Right.
But a big part of his success was what he did for our community or how he helped. So I guess when it's all said and done, that's what you want to look at.
Sure.
But hey, we're in a game of wins and losses, and
W's are important, right?
Yes, and it's to me, this is a league you can make the playoffs. That's a good year. We have a standard here where it's more than that, and the fact that we've been to 4, Stanley Cup finals and I think it's 6 conference finals.
Sure.
In a decade, that's a pretty good sign of success.
Listen, Coach, thanks for being with us today on Undiscovered America. Best of luck tonight and for the whole season.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Thank you. The energy of the fans before the game, during the game, after the game is really unbelievable. These are die-hard folks who are Lightning fans to the core. So whether you're a die-hard hockey fan or just dipping your toe into the ice, watching the Lightning live is really quite an experience. Something good just happened, I know. Here we are at the Lightning game, Amalie Arena with beautiful Tampa Bay, Florida. We got people around us taking pictures of people taking pictures. What could be better? More on Undiscovered America coming right up. From Michelin-starred hot spots to historic Cuban bakeries, cutting-edge art, and time-honored traditions, Tampa is a city that embraces the past as much as its future. That's what makes it special and also surprises most visitors. Whether it's taking in a river cruise, exploring yesteryear, or hearing roosters cackle, truly, you are never far from one of the keys that unlock the treasures of Tampa Bay. Until next time.